hang out with Kent Swanson coming up at 11 o'clock. From KC Sports Network, the KC Laboratory Podcast. We'll talk with him about the Chiefs, some NFL stuff, what he has seen through the first 7 games of the season for the Chiefs. 6-1, getting ready for the Denver Broncos on Sunday at 3:25. Bucks and Bills underway tonight right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. A little Thursday night football. And we will hear from the Chiefs coaches / coordinators, and we'll see which players will be there today. Around 11:45, 11:50 or so, the Chiefs will be at the podium, and we will hear from them and what they have to say about their team this week. And then, of course, we will play some sports or leisure today. It is presented by Johnny's Tavern. $25 to Johnny's Tavern on the line for winning sports or leisure. If you get a leisure and a sports question right, you win $25, and that would be a great thing to take with you on a Monday to Johnny's Tavern to enjoy the percentage off of however many points the football team scores. And I think it should be in the 30s percent off this weekend. We'll see if that is what takes place. But we'll play some sports or leisure coming up later on today in the show. 913-912-4810 is the text line. 913-912-4810, the text line to be part of the show. All right, so we talked yesterday. We discussed the wild card game and how really, improbable that Sporting was even in the game, because you go from the 0-7-3 start and just how long you had to scratch and claw and fight and, swim upstream and go uphill to try to even make it into the playoffs. And then you end up hosting a game, in a must-win game over the weekend, and you end up hosting a wild card game on a Wednesday night. And the thing that is, I don't know if it is unique to soccer as opposed to other sports, but a clear difference between, let's say, football and football, soccer and football, is that Sporting was clearly the better side last night. Clearly the better side. The front foot probably 70 of the 90 minutes. It felt like it was a dominant performance. But if you don't put the ball in the back of the net, it doesn't really matter. Whereas in football, you can have an overly dominant team. Like the way I would think of last night's win for Sporting, that ended up going to PKs, which we talked about yesterday. I didn't want any part of PKs, even though Tim Mealy was there. It's just scary, and just get your 3-1 victory in regulation. And the way I would sort of describe that game is that would feel like a team that just totally dominated a game and won 19-8.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a
couple weeks ago.
A random
just
number
a weird,
it's only happened twice in NFL history.
Weird 19-8 score. Or even if it's not joking about the Chiefs, 12-0.
Yeah.
You're there, you're dominating. You can't score touchdowns, but you're putting the ball through the goalpost, and you're like, yeah, but while you've or maybe 6-0. While you've dominated, yes, you're one play away from how did we lose that game 7-6, right?
And it's Thursday night football. In this case, Wednesday night football.
Right. Wednesday night football in a wild card game that, anything can happen. And the clear better side, because there aren't some of those small victories that result in points.
Right.
The small victories of getting a free kick, and hitting the post. And Johnny Russell having multiple shots that he was a few feet off either way from, Sporting being up 2-0. And a great defensive play when Polito puts it past the keeper, and a great defensive play, kicked out, and it's, ends up being a corner, but it's not a goal. And the Gadi Kinda to Polito to then Shalloway. That was damn near a goal. They had so many chances in that game that it didn't matter because they didn't put the ball in the back of the net. And it feels very is very unique. Unique is already unique, so can it be very unique? It feels incredibly unique is very just a synonym for incredible. I don't know. It feels unbelievable.
I don't remember seeing before this thing that I'm about to say.
It does feel unique to soccer that those small victories that can get you points on the board don't happen there. It's just a matter of you either get it or you don't.
I think that's a fun lens to view it through because, it's take the points or risk it to try to get 7 or, you left a runner on third, but at least you got to run in.
And you also, put maybe a higher pitch count on the starting pitcher.
Right, absolutely.
Maybe there's a small victory there that, there's some of that in soccer to where if you're playing on the front foot, maybe just the back line is just drained and the goalie's drained from having to, direct traffic the entire game. So maybe there's a little bit of that maybe it starts to break down in the final 10, 20 minutes of the game.
But even that's partially just keep the ball down there and eventually one of those wacky bounces is going to go your way. I hadn't looked at all the stats from last night until you mentioned all of that. And I'll just tell you, they do not refute what the eye may have interpreted. Sporting had the ball 60% of the game, 59.2 if you're a real stickler for the details. I'll just give you Sporting's stat and then San Jose's. Shots on goal, 4-0. Shot attempts, 18-5. Fouls, 3-12. I didn't remember that many fouls last night. Sporting had twice as many corner opportunities. It really did feel like one of those games where if it was anyone but Tim Melia, it would have felt like, all right, you squandered your opportunity over and over and over again. You had better opportunities than they did. It never really felt like you were about to have to pay for that in the course of your original 90. But things happen. Weird things happen in penalty kicks. Unless you have Amelia. And then it doesn't matter.
Not somebody named Amelia. But A
space Melia, much like in the Avengers movies. Well, we have a Hulk.
That's right.
Sporting has Amelia.
That's right. We have a Drake.
It is a name, though, I guess.
We have a Drake here at 810.
We do.
So we've got that.
You've got a radio problem. We have a Drake.
That's exactly right. Tim Melia has never lost a penalty shootout in his career. He's 7-0, 4-0 with Sporting after last night's PK win 4-2 over San Jose, and the Russell then to save. At that point, I'm like, okay, all right. I shouldn't feel like they're going to win because crazy things happen. And then, of course, Polito comes up there and looks like he, messes up his knee while trying to. He looked like me attempting a kick if we had PKs in the media game. That's what I would have looked like, and others would have looked like the second attempt for San Jose that just skied it, hit it 20 feet in the air or whatever. That's what those kind of looked like. But everybody else stepped up and did their job. But Tim Melia is just a wizard. He's a witch. I mean, he is a magician back there, and it is some sort of a sixth sense that Peter Vermees said, and it is absolutely true. Whether that is, I don't know how much you can do film study, like tendencies or breaking tendencies, but even one of them that was scored, he was reading it correctly, and it just got under his hand. Like, it wasn't like it tipped off his finger, it just went under his palm. Like, he was there, he read it correctly, and that guy in your back pocket. I tweeted out last night, Tim Melia is like having a never-ending supply of the big trump in spades. Just constantly like, oh, hey, there's the big joker. Sorry. Oh, how do you have 20 of them? There's one.
Let me see your sleeves.
No wonder you called out 10 before the game, before this started. I got you don't have 10. I've got 10 books. Believe me. Big trump, big trump, big trump. That's Tim Melia just in the back pocket. If it gets this far, we got maybe the greatest to ever do it.
You have an unimpeachable advantage that cannot be matched by even other merely great keepers. Like, that is, you mentioned the film study thing, right? Like, this is, I don't know what percentage of people right now are listening. Like, yeah, we know all of this, or what percentage of people are like, explain this wizard to us. And literally a wizard, I guess, in Kansas City's case, which makes it even better. I understand the film study, the tendency study, the amount of work that goes into being prepared for a moment that you hope never comes. And obviously, knowing the way that it was going to go yesterday, even more likely that it would have ended up in PKs. I'm sure everyone was ready for that. But to still be a level of multitude better than anybody else in those circumstances when you're back to the Princess Bride thing. Well, I know that you know that I know that you know that I'd like to just smash this thing to the left post.
Right.
But because you know that I know that you know that I know, I mean, it is that entire little sequence there, that game, and Melia's just never wrong.
You don't go to a land war with China.
And you don't go to PKs
and you don't go to
Melia.
PKs against Melia. When your season is on the line.
Yeah.
You don't attempt a land war with China. You don't go to PKs with Melia when the season is on the line.
Incompletable.
It was phenomenal. And just the whole time, you could tell that once it got to like the 80th minute, like San Jose was just, let's drain the clock.
Hold
let's
on,
drain
hold
the
on.
clock.
The ball's flat.
I think this is a little deflated. Yeah, so is your trip home. I was going to tweet out, but I decided not to, that, well, now the keeper can delay and take his time and kill as much time as he wants on his flight back home to San Jose.
Save that energy for St. Louis. It's okay.
Right.
We gotta keep
right.
those.
Yes, I know. And that's going to be, boy, you talk about a rivalry immediately. Like, how long has Sporting been like, well, who's the rival for Sporting? Who's the rival for Sporting? Does Sporting have a rival? Well, they're making it this or that or this team or that team. Well, this is kind of a rival. No, you've got a true rival now. You have an absolute true rival, geographical, historical, not necessarily specific to